What's going on, guys? Blake Albertson here with bblawncare. Thanks, Flavio. Flavio's Greg's professional camera guy, editor. So man, I get a professional camera guy for a minute. Come over here, guys. This is the urn they built today. Some just small water features. This over here. So it's pretty crazy. I've been here for 2 days now, learning the pondless features we did yesterday, as you guys saw, and these features. So I just think it's pretty cool, man. That urn is what I want to build the second I get home. So we'll be going over that process here, and hopefully I can do it. But they make it look easy, and I just wanted to show you, man. These things are super cool. They can add a lot to a landscape and really make a house pop and a landscaping pop. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get to it. A little cave grotto thing underneath this waterfall, but this is all ice. This is a solid sheet of ice. Totally freezing. Oh, look how sweet, dude. Just hope you guys know how much I want to get footage for you. I'm in shorts and short sleeves on a solid sheet of ice.
Stack Slate Urn for the basalt columns and for the spillway bowl. So when you're doing a fountainscape, it's important to keep this port open, right? It doesn't mean that you have to set this right on top in the middle. I guess if you wanted to, you could move it off to the side, but just make sure that you can get that plumbing down through that center port. This kind of tubing, I believe, this poly tubing, there's also kink-free that's available. So this stuff's a little bit more rigid. You can see how it's ribbed. And you can also, if you wanted to use flex, you could do that as well, right? Like you see the flex PVC, we have it in 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch. But for an application like this, either one of these is sufficient. There's 2 little notches cut out on the bottom, and that little knob just slides in there. Right, so, and then it just kind of locks in place. And I think the large one comes in 3 pieces. Poured through first. One thing that's important to see is, if you guys can all see this good, but there's a little notch cut out right there inside of that circle. That's actually to help that light cord feed through when you're feeding the pipe through.
Mike, you'll see that little piece now about 2 feet.
Got it?
1 foot off all
Grab
of
that.
the starting in 2018. So just depending on the age of the cluster, lights with that, lights have always had it outside of the so don't cut it out.
So we got it plumbed through the top, okay? Now what we'll do, drop this down in here, get everything down in there.
So sometimes, depending on the location you're at, you might want to put a little bit of ballast or some weight in the inside because they are hollow. So that can be some, large gravel when
So the filter sponge occasionally, like if you're dealing with, like water here in St. Charles, it's super high, calcium? Anyways, these filter sponges end up turning white, and they get, you can see some of our fountains in the office have scale on it real bad, but these can get super clogged. So you just pull this out, rinse it off, squish it out, rinse it off again, and you're good to go. If you're in a interior setting and there's not a lot of organic debris and stuff that's gonna fall down in that basin, technically you can just pull this thing out and just use the pump cage so this thing doesn't ever get clogged.
gives you a collar piece, so he'll have an easier time putting that barb piece in. Obviously trim the barb based on the size piping you're using. Obviously we're not going to today. So be able to slide the pipe on, and then because of the collar, you can just thread it onto the collar.
I do want to band clamp this stuff together. Thank you, that's a great question. I should have mentioned that. In a normal application, you want to secure that a little bit better. I was just twisting that pipe over the barb fitting.
And kink-free is a clamped product, not glue.
In doing this is obviously leveling this thing out. So already I can see it's pitched back a little bit, right? So we do sell fountain shims, but a lot of times we just find little pieces of gravel just to try and level this thing off. So the bib liner is there to collect that splash and funnel everything back into that reservoir. Same thing, same concept with finishing off the basins on the fountainscapes, just like we did with the waterfalls. Be creative with it, be organic. Don't just do this square of gravel, right, or square of cobbles or anything. Feel free to sweep that gravel out into the landscape, or put a couple cobbles or outcropping stones out back behind it. You can even throw them over the edge, especially the corners on these aqua basins, depending on the weight of the stones that you're using. But just to hide the shape of this square tub, right? Super important. That grand entrance, like these are perfect at the front entrance of somebody's house. You know, there's always, you know, there's that carriage walk or that sidewalk that leads up to their front foyer or something like this. Just tuck this in off to the right or to the left side. You know, you get a multi-stem birch or an ornamental tree, you know, kind of flanking it with some evergreens down below. It just looks gorgeous. And it's just that sight and the sound of water. Birds love these things. They do. That little perch up on the high parts of the rock, just like they will on the stacked slate urn. If they see birds incorporated into their water feature or using their water feature, they go ballistic. It could be a little goldfinch, and they'll write you a note saying, "Oh my God, Goldie's back!" You know, like it's insane. And it's just a little basalt column. You know what I'm saying? So even things like the basalt rocks or the fountainscapes breathe that slice of life or that breath of life into a landscape. It doesn't have to be an ecosystem pod or a crazy gorgeous waterfall. Again, this is an entry-level water feature, right? For not only for you guys that are getting started in water features, installing them, but for your customers, right? It's a gateway drug, and they get a set of basalt rocks or a stacked slate urn. Next thing you know, they want that sound and visual of running water in the backyard or the side yard or wherever. Sometimes in their house. I don't know.
What do you suggest for power? Like using one of their outdoor outlets?
Oh yeah.
Or okay.
Yep. Yeah, very only on large commercial jobs where we're using high velocity pumps or mixer pumps or something like that. Would we ever need to bring a panel, you know, and create our own electric, you know, out there? Everything that we do is homeowner friendly, contractor friendly. It's just literally a 3-prong plug. You get a GFI. You don't need anything more than a 15 amp circuit to run 2 pumps off of, and our transformer, and our ion gen, and our dosing system, all that stuff. So it's the energy consumption is minimal. You may or may not have seen them, but they put in a bib liner over the top of the reservoir. Did you guys happen to see that piece of liner that they cut? So it actually goes out past the basin, and that's to catch some of this additional splash, but also they're able to bring that gravel out a little bit further on top of that bib liner. So does that make sense? So that sand or soil or whatever is not infiltrating into that reservoir. You're able to bring that gravel back, and it doesn't mix with the soil nearly as easily as if that liner or fabric was. Whereas cobbles, when we go out and install these for $3,500, it's not just the kit and a square, you know, thing of gravel over the top of it. We're going to go that extra mile and we'll bring anywhere from 3 to 5, you know, bigger boulders or outcropping pieces, and really landscape this thing, or get it to the point where you can softscape around it, and it's going to look really nice.